This is Scratch Your Own Itch, the one show that delivers the conversations that we're afraid to share, but need to. This show is all about creating a life worth living. I'm Logan Tyler Nelson, and I'm your host. So, you're going to hear conversations with creators and entrepreneurs talk about what they do, their current and past traumas, how they became who they are, and what they are truly curious about. This is the show where we talk about the things we think about a lot, but need to talk about more. Please take note that this show is not a substitute for actually creating a life worth living, because this show will stir your beliefs, make you question what it means to create a life worth living. So my promise to you is to always give you one question to answer for yourself today, to start turning your dreams into a reality. Hello, ladies and gents. Thank you so much for taking the time to listen to this podcast. Because I know you could be listening to so many other things like Netflix. I mean, there are so many awesome Netflix movies, or you could be listening to audiobooks or listening to, awesome music. I mean, there's just a ton, and you chose to show up here, so I appreciate you a ton for doing so. And I want you to take a second before we even start to just put one hand on your heart and just breathe in and just breathe out. And just know that the information that you're about to consume right now is not for just self-help entertainment, but it's going to be for a good reason. And it's going to be because you want to up-level yourself. And there's some sort of itch that you're trying to scratch. There's some sort of thing that you got off your chest and you just got to start. So anyways, I'm super, super pumped for you. Pun very much intended, because I have the Alfred of Mind Pump joining me today. His name is Doug Egge, and Doug is this guy, I don't want to waste too much time on his bio, because I think that's more important to put it in the show notes. Just real quick, he's a fitness media company, or he runs the fitness media company over at Mind Pump, and they focus on dispelling the myths that pervade all these stupid things that go on in fitness. And they really are. They're truth tellers. And he produces their podcast. And they air a ton. They do a ton of information. So without further ado, give a warm welcome to the one and only Doug Egge.
Hey, Logan. Thanks for the nice intro there.
Dude, of course. You deserve it. Oh my God, you are just, I'll let you know, man, right off the bat, you guys and Mind Pump are just, I love you guys a ton. So appreciative of you guys. But I want to get into the first question, not waste too much time, because I know time is valuable for everybody. What's a story that comes from your life that has a sort of a underlying message behind it?
Well, I think the inception of Mind Pump is probably one of those stories, especially since your podcast is called Scratch Your Own Itch, right? And Mind Pump, which exists now, at one point was just, of course, an idea, or even a seed of an idea long ago. And a lot of it was really because I was trying to scratch my own itch. So if I were to kind of wind back and look back over my life, I've always been drawn towards things of a creative nature, whether it be photography, videography. Back in the day, because I'm a little bit older than a lot of people listening to the show, I'm sure. Back in my day, I had a movie camera, so actually used film when I was a kid to try to make a fun, small movie. So I had this interest to produce all types of media from a very young age. However, life just happened, and I went to school. I got my degree in accounting, which was a blessing and a curse for me. The blessing was now that I use some of those accounting skills, but the curse was it kind of set me off on a wrong path in my life, which was the financial arena, which is something that I really don't have a ton of interest in. But over time, I started to get, interested once again in my creative aspect of things. And in my financial business I had was done mainly online. And so I started to really learn about internet marketing, how to make videos online, how to do internet marketing sequences with autoresponders and things like that. And I started to develop this skill set of how to put together marketing campaigns, et cetera, et cetera. And then, as luck would have it, I injured my back. At the time, I didn't feel very lucky about it. And I went to a chiropractor that had been introduced to me. And we did a number of sessions, and I got some good relief. But the chiropractor noted that I had a lot of muscle imbalances. And so he recommended I speak to a personal trainer that he knew that he said had a very unique perspective on the body and training and how to correct imbalances in the body. And so I went over to this personal trainer. His name was Sal DiStefano. And I met this guy, and he was a very knowledgeable guy. He had a good look to him. He looked very fit. But when he started speaking, he was very well spoken. And he essentially convinced me to sign up for 10 personal training sessions, which I did. Well, I went through those 10 sessions, and then I went and bought 40 more. I was so into it. Now, I do have a history of working out and enjoying going to the gym. I was very interested in building muscle. When I was a kid, I watched Rocky III and saw Sylvester Stallone. I said, I want to look like that. But unfortunately, I never did. But I started to see real results working with Sal. And I was starting to get a little closer to that Rocky look. Not quite, but I said to Sal one day, he goes, you know what? I love what you have to offer here. You're very intelligent. You have a very unique perspective on fitness. I have some internet marketing background. I know how to make videos. I know how to put together websites. I know how to create autoresponder sequences. I would love to do something with you in the space of fitness because I'm very passionate about fitness and health. He says, well, I don't really have an idea at this point, but I'll think about it. And so we'd talk about it every once in a while as the months passed. And he said, I think an ebook might be a good idea. And I said, well, I really feel like video is where it's at now that it's so inexpensive to produce good quality video. He says, well, if I think of something that we can film, I'll let you know. So one day I come into my personal training session and he says, you know what? Last night I had an epiphany. I was up all night long. I basically created this product or this program called MAPS, which stands for Muscular Adaptation Programming System. And it's a very unique take on fitness. It's a full body workout, but it includes something called trigger sessions, which are designed to keep the anabolic signal high, anabolic meaning muscle building signal high, even on the days that you're not working out. And I looked at it and I said, well, this looks perfect. Let's try it out. So we started to test out the program with myself and with some other people that he trained. And we all saw incredible results from that. And from that point, we started to meet on weekends and start to put together an actual program that was going to market the MAPS product. And so this allowed me to essentially take all the skills that I'd been developing over the years, my videography skills, my photography skills, and all these types of things that I was interested in, and put them together in one thing that we started to sell to the public. So that's really the inception. So yeah, a lot of these things, that we want to do in our life and that we can accomplish in our life are really a long-term type of proposition, right? Years passed from the time I was a child and had this interest in film and that type of thing till the point where I could actually do something about it. But I think that, I guess a takeaway from this is, if there's something that you really want to do with your life, just start chipping away at it. But have a very clear vision and goal of what that might look like. And if you keep, taking concerted effort in that direction, you're going to definitely get closer to it than you would had you not. And if you do the right things, you might actually just get there. So that would be my big takeaway from that.
Dude, I've got such a huge smile on my face right now because, that is just a bunch of blessing in disguise, sort of how the cookie crumbles or how the onion, unfolds and sort of manifests in the thing that you guys have nowadays, which I'd like to kind of pivot into that. What's the one piece of advice you'd like to give anybody that's in your industry / expertise?
When you say industry or expertise, are you referring to fitness or podcasting or?
I'm talking about you, Doug Egge. When you pitch yourself to a company or something and they ask you, hey, could you give us a sentence of what you do? What would you like to go down? Because I feel like it's podcasting mostly, but I could be wrong.
Well, ultimately, I really feel like it's always important to look at the ultimate benefit of what you're offering, because the only way anybody ever wants to give you any money is if if there is some type of perceived value that's being offered out there, if there's some type of a benefit. So the podcast is really more of a feature. We offer a podcast, we offer a YouTube channel, we offer blogs, we offer all types of things. But really the benefit of all of this is offering actionable things that people can do that can change their life from the standpoint of fitness and health. And health can encompass so many different things as well. I mean, it's more than just, having a good heartbeat and that type of thing. It's mental health and everything else that surrounds it. So really, I feel like we're in the business of changing lives for the better from a health and fitness standpoint. And that's the ultimate goal. So all the other things behind that, though, are the tools that we use to essentially accomplish what we want to do as far as an impact on this world. I don't know if that answered your question.
I got you. No, it does. I'll go into that. So podcasting, blogs, video, those are the vehicles in which you use in order to deliver the message. What is one message you think that is something that you would like our listeners to know about your industry?
Well, I think a very important thing to note is there's a lot of experts out there in this space. They look very good. They may speak very well. But the reality is there's an awful lot of misinformation out there. And so if I were to say one thing, it's definitely buyer beware, because there's a lot of people who would like to make some money off of your listeners that are not really offering things of value. So really, it's very important to get educated before you take any action whatsoever as far as health and fitness is concerned. So, for example, let's just say you see an ad that says, hey, try this supplement and you'll build muscle, or try this supplement and you'll burn body fat. But is that really true? So, a little education can go a long way. And that's what our podcast provides, is a lot of free information that educates people on what to look out for in the fitness industry. That's number one. And then number two, what to do to get the results that you want. So those are the two areas that we really focus on.
Okay. Hey, so my listeners, they really come in and tune in for the vulnerable side of things. They want to see the highlight reels, but unfortunately, sometimes that's just not the truth. And it's hard for us to be vulnerable. But would you mind sharing a story from your life that may hold some value because you just went through something really difficult?
Yeah, I've had a number of times in my life where I've felt in a dark space that things just weren't going the way I'd hoped they'd go. So I graduated from college. I had my degree in accounting, and I did not want to be an accountant. So I ended up getting a number of different jobs in the area of sales, and wasn't particularly excited about that, but that was a way to make some money. So I sold industrial cleaning chemicals for a while. I sold office supplies for a while. I even sold Chevrolets for a while. And I was at a point in my life where I really felt like I wasn't going anywhere fast and was a little bit depressed because I couldn't find what my true joy or excitement was as far as my career was concerned. And again, I had been suppressing, of course, all this time, the more creative aspect of myself. And I just remember dreading getting out of bed every morning, going to work, being totally uninspired. And it was obviously reflected in my income too, because I was making horrible income at that point in my life. So I really had no money to go out and have fun with anybody. And I got to this point where I just knew I had to shake things up because I was, if I kept doing what I was doing, I was going to keep getting the same results for years to come. And so I thought to myself, I need to really take some type of massive action to change my life. And I went to this movie, and it's a pretty old movie now, but this was back in the 1980s. It's called Pump Up the Volume with Christian Slater. I think your audience would love this movie. So it's about this kid that moves to Arizona, and he doesn't know anybody there. He's somewhat shy at school. He kind of keeps his head down. But in the evenings, he has his own kind of shock radio station. So he's got some pirate band radio station, and he takes listeners' questions, and he just talks about life. Anyway, the movie goes a little bit dark, in that it starts dealing with topics like suicide and things like that. But he gets to a point where he's talking to his audience. He says, you know what? Don't kill yourself. Do something different. Take some type of massive action. Anyway, I really took that movie to heart, and I loved that movie. In fact, it's probably one of my favorite movies I've ever seen. And I said, I just got to do something, outside of my normal realm of ordinary. And so I started to look around at options, and I couldn't really figure out what it might be from a career standpoint. And then one of my roommates at the time said, I know some people who live in Japan and work there teaching English, and you can make pretty good money doing that. And for some reason, that really resonated with me. And I said, I'm going to look into that. And I did. And I ended up moving to Japan, teaching English, ended up being there for 6 years. My life totally transformed during that time. I had an incredible experience. And it really actually was what reignited my desire to be creative, because I was teaching kids over there, and I was able to do all types of fun and crazy things. And I said, you know what? This is what I want to do, is I really want to be able to do more creative things in my life. So that, to me, was the real lesson and takeaway from that is, sometimes life can get dark. I mean, you could be lying on the sofa, just not even wanting to do anything. But that will pass in time, as long as you keep moving forward and trying new things. At some point, you'll get jarred out of that lethargy and into something else. So it's always just, there's always a light at the end of the tunnel if you just keep at it.
Dude, that is such a cool, amazing story. Oh man, so much value out of that. And I think some people are listening to this that do struggle with financial stuff. And now that you kind of talked about how, like, your income was low because you're also down in the dumps. What do you think is something that people could do today, like a side hustle, that you think is really cool that people are doing maybe in the workspace that you're in right now, where they're actually making money online?
Well, I can tell you what we always look for are people with good editing skills, like video editing. I really feel like this is a market that is not filled with enough quality editors. The people who are really good at it, they can command top dollar. And there's a lot of people out there now that we're in the social media era, YouTube, Instagram, all these different mediums we have out there that require video, and somebody who can lend value in that area. I feel like you're going to be assured of having work as much as you want. So that's just.
I love it. What?
Oh no, go ahead.
I was just gonna say I love it, man, because it's tried and true that the technology is just taking us over. It's kind of scary. It's like the kid with the best tech skills is gonna overvalue some of these older folks with these amazing communication skills. But it's just not the way to tap into someone's heart anymore. Sometimes is just through communication alone. It's like it's got to be inspirational with video sometimes too.
Yeah, we definitely live in a different world for sure. And I'm 53 years old. I've always had to pivot throughout life in order to remain relevant. And I think anybody as they get older just realize you got to stay nimble, right?
Exactly. So we're rounding out to the end, Doug. I just got 3 more questions for you.
Sure.
What are some go-to books that you'd like to share?
Well, my reading tends to be business centric. So right now, our goal and interest is in scaling Mind Pump Media. So I spend a lot of time reading books regarding business. And, just to put out one title for anybody, if you have any listeners that are looking to scale a business, there's a very good book called Traction that we've been working through. And it's really, based on goal setting and really understanding where you want to go, what your purpose is, what your mission is, what the big rocks are that you need to address as you get there, what your quarterly goals look like, et cetera, et cetera. And from that, I think one thing I can recommend to your listeners, especially if they're not in a business, is finding books like Tony Robbins, for example, who have books regarding goal setting. So whether you're in a business or not, I feel like goal setting is that thing that's often missing from people's lives. Having some type of a specific target that you want to hit, a flight plan, if you will. And by having that, writing it down and focusing on that, you're far more likely to get to where you want to go than you would if you didn't. Gotcha.
Absolutely. I love that. I'm going to plug those books in the show notes or make it at least accessible. Second to last question is if people are listening to this and they're like, I want to check out Mind Pump. I want to check out what more of Doug's doing. Where's the one place you'd like to send them?
Yeah, go to our webpage at mindpumpmedia.com. There you'll find links to our podcast, to our YouTube videos, to the various programs that we offer, to our free information. In fact, we have a page you can go to directly, which is mindpumpfree.com. We have a bunch of free guides on there. So if you're interested in fitness, we have a number of different things that you can use that are absolutely no charge whatsoever.
Love it. Yeah, check it out, guys. I'm telling you, if you're someone who wants to raise their health, raise their wealth, become more wise, like these guys are the guys you got to consume. I'm addicted to their show. I'm addicted to what they do. They really know what you should do when it comes to raising those 3 things. And I want to acknowledge you, Doug, though, first of all, because Because honestly, man, like I know how many lives you guys changed through Mind Pump. And I don't know if you guys are aware, but I see people every single day on your guys' Facebook page talk about things that they wouldn't even share with most of their family members. And it's so cool that there's a community of people and a community of followers that do that. And it's one of my absolute dreams. Like that's what I want one day is to be a leader to those kind of people that are willing to just show up and be vulnerable and talk about the things that suck, but the things that are being worked on, that they're willing to work on and change their own lives for it. So thank you for being that voice.
Well, thank you for being part of that, really. I mean, I think, one of the things that I love about Mind Pump and the community is that, just like you say, people are willing to be vulnerable out there, because we live in a world where everybody is trying to put their best foot forward through social media. Your Instagram people, perfect photos, et cetera, et cetera. And for all of us out there in the trenches on a day-to-day basis, sometimes you can think that, maybe I don't have a lot going on. Maybe I'm not good enough looking. Maybe I'm not wealthy enough. Maybe I don't have the right friends, whatever the case may be. When you look at everybody else putting out their most beautiful photographs. But the reality is we're all out there in the trenches, and we all have our struggles, and we all wake up in the morning and go, who the hell is that looking back at me? Boy, you're getting old, man. So it's good to know that there's other people out there that are sharing this journey and are willing to be honest and open about that. And I think by doing that, everybody can live a better life for sure.
I agree. So I'm going to throw a little bit of a monkey wrench at you, but I really am scared about people listening to this podcast and having this podcast just be sort of like self-help entertainment and it not actually being something that raises their game. So I'd love for you to give our audience some homework, something that they could do today to really like maybe take massive action, like you said.
I think the first thing everybody needs to do is get clear on what you really want. So, a ship without a destination is just going to float around. There's no direction to it. So really just take a piece of paper and make a column and write one column, say all the things I love doing, and another column say all the things I hate doing. Start making a list of the things that you're most passionate about, and then start making a plan to start achieving some of the things that are on that side of the list. So again, kind of harking back to Tony Robbins and some of the things that he offers as far as goal setting is concerned, set your 1-year goals, your 3-year goals, your 5-year goals, your 10-year goals, your 20-year goals. Write it down. Get clear on what it is you want to achieve in life and start chipping away at it. And I really feel like, you're going to be shocked at how many things you actually achieve by just getting that type of clarity. I mean, I wrote down goals years ago that, I had no idea how I was even going to achieve them. And some of them I was very focused on, and some of them I wasn't. And then I went back and revisited those goals, and I was shocked how many I had achieved, even the ones I hadn't been focusing on. And I feel like the reason I was successful was because I had set out the intention and I'd written it down, and then somehow, some way, everything just started to lead me in that direction. It's kind of funny because one of my old goals was to have a recording studio and a film type studio because I was so interested in film and audio, and I'm recording from it right now. And this was written maybe 10 years ago. So it's amazing what can happen over time.
Amazing. Dude, I love it. I think I'm just going to call this episode a hero's journey, because really, like, everything just lines up, man. I mean, there's the Morpheus part of the story, Sal, and there's the sort of taking massive action, with with moving to Japan, and just a beautiful, beautiful job. Thank you, Doug, so much. I know that this won't be the last time we're talking, so I'll talk to you later, though. For now.
There'll be girls across the nation that'll eat this up. They don't know that it's your soul, but could you bottle it up? Get down to the heart of it. No, it's my heart. Your shit out of your love. Don't make me tell you again. Woo! Love, love, love. Hey. Love, 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 love.
Oh, wow. You made it to the very end of the show. Thank you so much for tuning in for another episode of Scratch Your Own Itch with your host, Logan Tyler Nelson. To make it to the end? Gosh, that doesn't happen very much nowadays. I mean, especially with the constant distraction. So, I appreciate all of the efforts that you just took out of your day to make it to the end. And if you hit that subscribe button and leave a review, you would have no idea what that would mean to me. So thank you so much for taking the time to hit that subscribe button. And if you leave a review, check it out. Just screenshot it, send it to me, and I'd love to host your review out on the show. But don't ever forget, like I say, you matter and you're enough.
Love is the main reason for how all this happened. Love for all my fans, love for all the shows. Got love for all my memories, no matter where I go. Even if I'm out to nothing, I know there's always something. It's not a fitness test, but it'll always